What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, and welcome to Track Talk, a part of the Lactic Acid Network. I am your host, Dominique Smith. Hope everybody is having a great holiday season, and I hope it is as lit as a Christmas tree. And today's episode is something special. I have one of the best in the game, elevating the sport of track and field with great content day in and day out, literally faster than Woj on ESPN when it comes to breaking news about track and field and everything in between. He is none other than Mr. Colin Waitzman of Track and Field World News. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Appreciate you having me on. Look forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. And Colin just had a great conversation on Saturday night with T. Williams and Noah Lyles. So please be sure to go on Track World News on their Instagram page and check that out. It's, I think, like 87 minutes long, but it is worth the listen. There was a lot of great stuff that came out of that conversation. Today, we are starting a great series, an exclusive series to end this year on the best of 2022, especially since the year is coming to a rapid close. And it was a great season for track and field. And so today, Colin is here to join me to talk about some of the best moments on the professional scene. And then over the next couple of weeks, we'll dive into the high school scene as well as the collegiate scene. 2023 track season is around the corner, and it's shaping up to be another swell season. Obviously, it will end at the Prefontaine Classic in Eugene in September, with the highlight of the season hopefully being Budapest in 2023 later on in August. But Colin, man, it was an insane season. But what is, obviously we'll, conversate on just the different moments. But what is one of the moments that stood out for you, that's most memorable for you, that you took away from the season?
Yeah. So when I been looking at track and field, like I've kind of shifted my focus of things that I've been impressed by or things that I like, from just great performances to great storylines. Like, as a track nerd, sure, I really like the fast races and the world records and things like that. But I think the more important things in our sport are the storylines that can come about from track and field. And so that was kind of what I was looking at a lot throughout the collegiate and professional season. And so one that really sticks out to me is I guess the two athletes, Noah Lyles and Arian Knighton, like how they had their back and forth for essentially the whole year, with Arian Knighton getting the world lead in the 200, and then there's being a lot of communication through just interviews and whatever it is. Both of them training down in Florida there, and so it's like a lot of people wondering what's going on, and then the point at the world championship trials, and the interview that ensued, where Lyles is like, yeah, he's fast, but I'm faster, while he's standing next to Arian Knighton, and then culminating in the American record at the World Championships, where Noah Lyles is ripping his jersey in half. So it's just like, that storyline is just like, that was great. Like, I think we don't have a ton of those right now in track and field. I can think of probably 4 or 5 ones from this past season that I really genuinely enjoyed. And so that's was probably one of the highlighting moments that I saw from this season for the pro side.
Noah said something interesting that really stood out to me. I think it was in the mix zone, I think it was in the mix zone. He said, just because Arion and other people are running fast, it doesn't mean that I'm running slow. And I think that's kind of what happened. It's just like, Arion just dropped 9:49, in April or May, whenever the meet was, and Noah Lyles is in trouble. Noah Lyles can't keep up. Arion's about to break the record, and it's just like, no. And that was a great point, because it's kind of a flaw in the thinking of people who, I don't want to say just cover the sport, but just fans of the sport. Like I said, different people, everybody could be running fast at the same time. And that's what makes the sport, unique in what it is. And that was a part of why we saw so many great performances. For me, I head over to the field, and you made a excellent point, about the storylines, because that's what makes track and field. Everybody can run fast time, but there's always a story behind it. And you look at how the other sports are portrayed. We're about to have the college football playoffs. There's storylines for each game. There's storylines for even the bowl games. Look at the NBA. There's a storyline each night, and so it's great to see that track and field is kind of dipping into that. But I got to go with Kara Winger and how she elevated the javelin and how she closed out her career. One of the most consistent throwers, a great ambassador for the sport, and hadn't been on the medal stand. And then in Eugene, the second to last throw, she launches one that puts her in position to win the silver medal. She launched her way onto the medal stand, and as she mentioned in this, as she spoke about it, there was like a nervous energy, but then it worked out, and the crowd just erupted. Well, and then to capitalize on that, that's not all she did. She goes and she wins NACAC, and then she wins the Diamond League, and then she re-breaks the American record that she set. I thought it was just a great way to end the career, but it brought more eyes on the field events, specifically, the javelin, because everybody was kind of curious, and everybody talked about it. It's field events aren't, and I think maybe because they're not shown as much, and they're not allowed to be shown as much. I know, you and other, people have tried to, try to bring track and field to a different audience.
Yep.
And the nice way of putting it, it's not appreciated. So much so because they have eyes like a hawk. And I think that moment, in that time in Eugene, it was a storybook ending. And that's something that I appreciated, just as a fan of track and field, or just a fan of sports in general. It was just a great feel-good story, and it really, really, was one of the top moments of the World Championships. I know that's, you're from, the West Coast, you got your family there, you have your friends there, and then just the crowd that understands track and field. It was just a great moment.
Yeah, the fans reacted well to that. I wasn't at Worlds at the time that was going on, but I remembered seeing like the videos of just everybody like really cheering her on. Partially, she's a U.S. athlete competing in the U.S., so you're going to have those people that even if they have no idea what's going on, they see a person from the U.S. doing well, they're gonna cheer. But then you also have a lot of people that know the stakes or the storyline behind it, which made it even better. And so, yeah, it's like she had the Peyton Manning-esque ending where you get to end on top. I remember she got asked, hey, you just did all this great stuff, why don't you do it another year? And she was like, no, this is the best way that you could end it, ending on top. It's like you either, what's the saying? It's like you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Yeah, you either you retire on top, or you do this for another season and it's not anywhere near as good. And you're like, dang, this doesn't feel as good as if I finished last year. So, all interesting stuff.
Kind of like Usain Bolt. 2016.
He could keep running.
Yeah, it's just like, man, that was a hard way to see him go out. Like that was just it's like, man. And I think he even kind of admitted to it that, his heart wasn't necessarily in it. It was just for the fans, but you can't, there's no better way to go out than, taking home 3 gold medals in the Olympic Games. And
yeah,
just, I don't know, I can't get that image out of him, messing up his hamstring, in the 4x1, coming down the home stretch. So yeah, that is a great point. What's another moment that sticks out to you?
Yeah, I'd say there's a couple other ones. The next moment that I really liked. Let's try to go on the women's side of things. I liked a lot of the collegiate women things, but from the professionals, actually, we won't do I won't do just men. It'll be the 400 hurdles in general. I'll change
Oh yeah.
up my mind. Just the 400 hurdles in general. So we had a continuation of, like, once again, another just great storylines of, from 2021 was really the emergence of these 400 hurdles for the men and for the women. And so it was just really, really exciting of, like, hey, this is an event where both sides of the coin are performing at its highest. Like, I don't think there's no other event really in my mind that is being dominated like it is on both the men and women's side. Like, I don't think there is. There's no event in all of track and field that is competing at the same level that the 400 hurdles is. Like, sure, the 100 is doing okay, but no one on the men's side is breaking any world records anytime soon.
No.
The women's side, for the 100, like, is doing good, but it's not comparable for, the records that are being broken there. And so it's just like the level that both sides are competing at is outrageous. And so I really like that. And this season, once again, one of my favorite storylines, at least on the men's side, comes from, Trevor Bassett. Like, this guy, he's a Division II athlete who, all intents and purposes shouldn't be there. Like, from who you typically think of, like, as the athletes. Like, yeah, the people that you usually think of are the ones that go to Power 5 schools. They have the, the big, the big name behind them, and all of that. And so to see Trevor, like, come in and just kind of completely break that mold, was fantastic. And then not only make the team, but medal, like,
But
getting
metal.
third, like, going, that was huge. Now, of course, like, I'm looking forward to seeing it this year when you have to go up against, a healthy, when the Vikings healthy. Like, now, like, doing it then is going to be really exciting. But, still being it, you got to learn to win. And so coming in your first international championship and getting a medal, like, that was huge. And on the women's side, just like, I think the storyline in 2021 was a little bit better because I think there was more parity in 2021. Like, while Cindy McLaughlin is Superwoman, I think you could potentially see her losing in 2021, where in 2022, like, there was no shot. So I'd say the storyline wasn't as great on the women's side, but it's still, like, a story of dominance of, this woman. How fast can she go? Can she go sub 50 in the 400 hurdles? Like, it's incredible.
I think that I'm really looking forward because you're going to have a healthy Rye Benjamin, because Rye Benjamin wasn't all the way healthy. And then Dos Santos, like, I mean, that dude,
Yeah.
and he just continued to gain confidence. And then a healthy Karsten. That's going to be fun. But then there's always that Cinderella team. There's always that St. Peter's. And Trevor Bassett is that kind of dude, that can go in. And it's hard for me to say, like, if you have a bad race, he can win or he can medal, because I don't want to, like, disrespect him, because he's good. Like, he's really good. And then he had a long collegiate season. And you mentioned Bassett, won a medal in the indoor, in the Open 400, in the World Championship. So, I mean, that dude is a baller. On the women's side, go ahead, you're good.
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick on that. Like, I don't think it's disrespectful. I completely agree. Like, with Trevor Bassett being there, it's like you better not mess up. Like, because you have this guy that, I mean, Carson Warholm, world record holder. Like, DeSantos, like, he was going and say, like, they're on another level at this time. Like, it's not crazy to say. Like, it's like, that's just the facts. And so it's like, don't mess up. Like, if you mess up, Trevor Bassett is going to, like, take your lunch. Like, he is right there behind you, and he doesn't mess up. Like, and so it's just like, just don't mess up, because if you do, like, that medal's not yours. We saw it with Warholm. Like, he went out, like, he went out crazy fast. Like, he wasn't fully healthy, and being not fully healthy, it's like, hey, don't mess up. And he did, and, he was able to snag a medal. So it's like, that's what I like from Trevor.
I think whenever he gets a taste of 46 is on. Like, I don't care if it's 46.99, it's on. And I don't know, it's gonna make it interesting. He had a race being Karsten, similar to Wade Van Niekerk in the 400, where he just kind of died at the end. So I
Mhm.
am, and I'll get to him in a second, but when you talk about the women's 400 hurdles, I feel like I'm on an island on this. Sid, it's just still don't have words because that's how great she is. She wasn't losing. But if she doesn't go back to the hurdles this year, this is just me. I'm huge on Femke Bol. And the fact that she's starting to get into the 400 scene a little bit more. Nobody's beating Sid. The only person that could beat Sid is Sid, and the only way that would happen is if she just doesn't run. Because the rate she's on, she could trip over 2 hurdles and still win by 10 meters. But I think Femke Bol was somebody, man, that I don't know. I think Femke Bol, she can make a lot of noise, going forward. Obviously, you have to respect Dalilah Muhammad. Britton Wilson is somebody you have to put some respect on as well, because I think she's going to be, elite. Do you think? Let me ask you this about her. Do you think she stays in the 400 hurdles, or does she switches over to the open 4?
Which one? Femke Bol, Britton Wilson,
Britton
Sydney
Wilson.
McLaughlin.
Britton.
Britton Wilson's gonna. I think so. It's all up to what Sydney McLaughlin does. So I think that Sydney McLaughlin, if I had to guess, I bet you that Paris is going to be her last time really doing the 400 hurdles, because I bet you she does it this year in 2023. I bet you she does it in 2024, and then she probably goes and tries something else. It's like she's going. The only thing that she has to do is try to go sub 50, and once she does that, then it's like there's no point. Like, she wants to probably defend her Olympic title. She'll probably want to defend this 2023 title. And then it's like, you've broken all the records in the book. And so it's just like, there's nothing else for you to do. Like, do something else. Like, you're too good at this thing right now. And so like, it's like something similar that I would want to see from like Ryan Krauser. Like, you were too good, too dominant. I mean, he's shown to, like, people are getting closer now. We saw with Kovacs, who beat him a few times, but it's like, hey, do the discus or something. Like, you're too good at this. Like, Mondo, figure something else out. Like, do the triple jump. I don't know. I don't want to see you on the pole vault anymore. You're too good. And so I bet you Sydney eventually moves over, and that opens up a spot for these next levels of athletes to win. Because as long as Sydney McLaughlin's competing, none of them are going to beat her. So once she leaves, I think that's going to open up a spot for the Britton Wilsons, for the Femke Bols, for the Anna Cockrells, to win. Because as it stands, like, no one's beating Sydney right now. It's just, I just don't see that happening.
It's a perfect segue, because that brings me to my next point, what I find most memorable: the elevation of the shot put in the United States. Ryan Krauser is a cheat code, but Joe Kovacs, he pushed him, as you said, and Joe ended up winning the Diamond League, and he has the I think it's indoor. I forgot. He has the second farthest throw. But
he almost broke the world record. Yeah.
Yeah. So
really good throw.
And then Chase Ely on the women's side. Like, I think just the throws in general. Talk about, obviously she didn't, take home the gold, but she won a medal. Valerie Allman in the discus. You talk about, I just mentioned Krauser, Chase Ely, and we talked about Kara. We talked about
Raven Saunders.
Raven Saunders, who I'm really looking forward, to getting healthy and competing. Brooke Anderson in the hammer, and what the Americans did in the hammer. I just think the throws in general, and maybe just I love the throws, love the sprints. Obviously, just love track and field in general. But it made it fun. Like, you used to go into meets and it's just like, yeah, maybe one or two people, may sneak into the finals and then hope to God that they medal. But like, now we roll into these meets and there's a legitimate chance that you can sweep the podium. That people can medal, like, that we can have that success and that sustainability. And I was just, I don't know, just the entire, I don't even want to call it a storyline, but just the development of the throws in the United States and just the athletes on both sides. We're not to the, to your point. I was trying to think of an event that could potentially match what's going on with the 400 hurdles on the men's and women's side. I really can't. I would say the shot put is the closest thing. With you got Krauser, Kovacs, you have Chase Ely, and then obviously when Raven Saunders gets back, you'll have her. But outside of Krauser and Kovacs, nobody's pressing world records like that. So I would have to say just what the throws and then just how they're setting themselves up for 2024. And I don't think that, and I've heard this comment before, not just about the throws, but I've heard it about different events as well, that what the United States has accomplished, or what they did accomplish in Eugene, was kind of like a one-hit wonder thing because they were on home soil. I don't buy that. Obviously, the crowd and everything, that's a big plus. But I think some of these performances were for real. And I think, Budapest is a place where it's kind of like, okay, those who are skeptics, have to be turned into believers, when it comes to what we were able to produce on and off the track this year.
Yeah. I'd say I'm actually on the other side of it. I think that the home field advantage was a massive, massive, massive advantage for track and field. It's crazy how important it was. I think take a look at how just how difficult it was for some international people to get to the United States. Fernando Manyala, for example. I mean, this guy was he got to the track less than 24 hours before his first race. You know how stressful that is, and so it's you don't have to deal with that if you're in the United States. And I'd also I'd take a look at if it was I think it's such a huge advantage because much of the people that competed this year also competed at the Olympics just the year before in 2021, and they did bad. And so it's
that's true.
we didn't win any many individual medals, and then the very next year we break the record for the amount of medals that we win. So it's I think it's home field advantage is huge, like it is in every single sport. If you compete in basketball, I think it's a 8-point advantage that you get just from being at home. I think it was massive, and I would say oh, so do you think that people wouldn't have performed as well if this was in another country? I'd say yes. I don't think it's crazy to say at all. I think there's a reason that people do well when you don't have to travel as far and what's going on. So yeah, I think it was a huge advantage personally.
I think their performances like Mondo and Sid, who if you put them in Antarctica, or just any other location, I think that the results will be the same. I even think in some the men's 100, I think that what they were able to display. I mean, maybe you can make cases for certain performances within that. I think some of, just based on the athletes that we know, I think just the way they train and just their mentality, it travels. The year before, I mean, there was no crowd. There was no crowd. Obviously, it was the COVID year. In Tokyo, they weren't allowed to have fans. And then obviously you jump to Eugene. So do you think a guy like Noah Lyles breaks, the American record if, let's just say, we had it in, let's just say, Budapest or something like that? Do you think that a guy like him, maybe that 1931 is maybe a 1942 or something like that?
Yeah. I think that it probably plays a big difference. I mean, Noah Lyles even mentioned in an interview before, how much he feeds off of the crowd, how better it is. And so, yeah, I mean, I think he probably does run faster, here in front of a crowd. I think most people do. I think there's some people that might run the same or might run slower, but I'd say that's probably due to those people that you just have the nerves and you get nervous. But once you get in the groove, I'd say as an overall, if we were to take in the average run, if you took all the times, you take all these performances and you take this and then you take it versus if you did it in a vacuum, the Olympics last year, I bet you times are faster because you have that emotion. Like I'd love, like I don't have the numbers on me right now, but I'm sure like love to see, hey, what's the average for the heat, like the finals? Like what was the average time in the finals for the Olympics versus for the World Championships? Like for all the events, like which did people run faster in? Like my bet would be it's probably people ran faster at the World Championships because I think it plays a big part, like when you have people around you know to cheer you on and everything.
Last kind of, um, we'll do one each and then we'll wrap this up with a bow. But what's if there was one more, memorable thing that sticks out to you or that you'll remember from the season, what would it be?
Uh, I'd say those were most of them. Do you have one so I can think of my third
So,
one?
yeah, I would say it's kind of a two cross thing. It's the evolution of the U.S. men's 100
Yes,
mix.
I was gonna just say that.
So I'll
It's
let
crazy
you.
because
So
we
go
thought
ahead.
I was gonna, yeah. No,
I'll
yes.
let you keep
I
that
like
because I
the
actually have another one. So I'll
okay,
let you
good.
take that one.
Yes, I was actually going to say, once you said, I was like, okay, once you go, I'm going to say the competitiveness within the 100. And then you said it, and I'm like, oh, crap. So yeah, I've really liked like, once again, like my thing is the storylines, like of this, like, that's what I like the most. And it's carried on from the races itself in 2022 to what we're seeing right now in the off season, going into 2023 are just the reactions, the personalities, and everything that goes along with it. And so I like the fact of you have what Fred Curley and Trayvon Bromell and Marvin Bracey like going back and forth all the time on Twitter, Instagram, all that, and interviews, things like that, saying, "Hey, I'm a racer here. Who's gonna get the American record?" So I really like that. You have the storyline of Christian Coleman finally returning. Like, is he going to be back to his true self, or is this going to be kind of a throwaway year? You had on the international scene, like you had Lamont Jacobs. Like, is he legit? Like, is he going to be able to actually run it back from what he had in the Olympics? You take a look at Andre DeGrasse, like, hey, Mr. Podium, is he going to be able to run it back and do something crazy and get another medal? You have Fernando Manalo, like, hey, he was a guy that not many people thought about going into the 2021 season. He breaks out, now he's having another great year. And then shoot, will there be any college guys that are going to shock us? So I think the 100 itself had a lot, and I'm looking forward to how the sprints carry on to this year with the reaction. So yeah, I was really excited when it came to the sprints. Of course, the United States part of it was great, but I'm looking forward to just overall, especially with Noah Lyles getting thrown into the mix with the 100 because he's mentioned that that's a double he wants to do. So yeah, the sprints in and of itself have been really great for sure.
I think and this is two sides. One is the consistency of Andre DeGrasse, because I was 1000%. I don't know if it was you who came on the show or whatever, but people kept Andre DeGrasse is going to medal. Andre DeGrasse. I was like, no, he's not. Like, have you seen him run? Like, he's running 20.4 in the 200. He's running, 10 ones in the 100. He's not, finishing races and stuff like no, he's not going to medal. Well, what does he do? He holds off Marvin Bracey in the 4x1 to take home a gold medal for Canada. So the fact that this dude continues at this stage in his career, regardless of the season he's having, to somehow, some way find the medal stand is just remarkable to me. And I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it in the sport of track and field. I really don't. I can't recall just somebody that consistent, in those relays. Well, really just in general. But I have enjoyed, and speaking of relays, the women's 4x1, I think may have benefited from. If I'm going to give you anything about the home field advantage, I think the women's 4x1 might have benefited
Yeah.
from being at home. Um, TT Terry with the phenomenal final leg. Jennifer Pandini had a great leg, in that third leg. But I actually will go to the women's pole vault. And
Yeah.
I think one person that does not get talked about enough or the respect that they deserve is Katie Najat. I think obviously she has a great level of competition with Sandy Morris, who's great at what she does, and every time she steps out, onto on a vault, she is a contender for a gold medal. But what Katie has done over the past couple of years has been nothing short of remarkable, and arguably the toughest event in track and field. You know, winning the Olympic gold medal. She just talked about her struggles and recovering, trying
Yeah.
to get back to that level, and then being able to get back to that level and win on home soil. I think she's kind of changing the game when it comes to the women's pole vault with her consistency. And you made a great point. You got to know how to win, and so she knows how to win. And I think that I wish she got more respect for what she's been able to accomplish. And what I mean, she's the favorite headed into Budapest and probably Paris. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely give that to her. Let me ask one question about. Well, this is how we'll wrap it up. What are you looking forward to the most heading into Budapest? But I want to pick your mind. His name fails me. He's the young man from Botswana, that sprinter. You know what I'm talking about,
Let's Philly
Leslie
Tobogo.
Tobogo.
Let's Philly Tobogo. Yeah.
Do you think he can make some noise in the men's 100?
Not this year. Like I think he can be this year. He's primed in the regular season to do well. Like I think that he's going to do great when it comes to the what is that, like April to June, July timeframe.
Yeah.
Like yeah, he's gonna run some meets and he's gonna do really well. Like I think he'll probably drop a really fast time, maybe in the 9.8s or whatever. But I don't think he's gonna do anything crazy at the World Championships. Like I don't see him there. Like I I think that there's too many people that are too many veterans, too much experience there of people that have been at these big moments to just say like, yeah, this guy who's coming in for the first time. I guess he was there. He competed this year, but it's like, yeah, I just don't see how a guy, an 18-year-old guy is going to come in and win a world championship. I mean, it's never happened before in the 100. Like, of course, this is a guy that's breaking records. It's broken, bolt records and things like that. So obviously he's extraordinarily talented, but like a championship's a different beast. Like it's one thing to run really fast at a meet where you only have to do it once, and then it's another thing to run really fast at a meet where you have to do it three times, four times, and like you're doing it next to the other fastest people in the world and not just like some randoms that are running 10-2, 10-1. Like, so I think he'll do well in the regular season. I just don't see it yet of him being able to do it on a big stage. I'd love to, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't buy it yet.
What are you looking forward to the most heading in 2023?
Yeah, I want to see Noah Lyles try this double, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think that if there's any athlete that has a really good chance of doing, I think he has a better chance. Like, I don't see anyone in the 100. I guess him and Andre DeGrasse are, I'd say, probably the only two people right now that I'd say could do the double. Like, I don't see Fred Curley doing it right now. I think he has too much ground to make up in the 100 or in the 200. Like Noah Lyles is closer to Fred Curley and Trayvon Bromell, Marvin Bracey, Lamont Jacobs in the 100. He's closer in the 100 than they are to him in the 200.
Oh,
Like the gap between them in the 200 and Noah Lyles is massive. Like it's an ocean. The gap between Noah Lyles and them in the 100 it's much closer. And so I think that he can make that up. And especially with this is the perfect time for him to do it. The perfect time to go for the double because you haven't actually like this is the prime time, because he didn't win the Olympics, so the big thing that he wants is to get Olympic gold, and so he already won the world championship twice in the 200. So it's like, of course, like if there's ever going to be a chance to really go for this 100 thing, it's now, because the next time he'd be able to do it would be in 2025, really. Like, so I'd say those are that's what I'm looking forward to. Like, I want to see what Noah Lyles does in the double.
Colin, where can the good people find you? What you got going on at Track World News? What are some of the new things that you got popping off?
Yeah, for sure. Go check me out, Track World News, on Instagram. I'd say like new things that we're trying to do, a lot more shorter form content, like the Instagram Reels, TikTok type stuff. So you'll see us doing those things. I've kind of backed up a little bit on interviews and on longer form like video content, just because it takes a lot of time and effort to do. So you'll probably be seeing me doing a lot more of the short form stuff. So that's probably where you can find me, man.
And you have gear out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I got a few. I don't know if I have it around. Oh, it's in my closet. It's kind of far away. But yeah, I got a t-shirt. TWN Elite. There's not too many left. We're only doing one drop of these. I think I have less than 10 in a few sizes. Like, I think mediums and larges have one or two left. So not too much inventory left. But yeah, if you want to grab a shirt, I try to make it something that people could actually wear, not just a logo slapped on it, and keep it pushing, like some genuinely interesting things, I think, at least. So yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram if you want a shirt, and love to get you one of them.
Colin, appreciate your time, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show. As for everybody else, you know where you can find us here at Lactic Acid. Please check out the YouTube page, Lactic Acid with Dom Smith. Hit subscribe, hit that notification button. That way you are alerted when all the new episode drops. Head over to Instagram, follow us at Lactic Acid with Dom Smith, as well as anywhere you get podcasts, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We are there. Everything will be in the Linktree link in the show notes. Until next time, peace.